relatively new. I worked over in University Advisement Center for about 2 years. Before doing that, I worked in financial aid and enrollment services. So I've kind of been around the block with Georgia State and their offices. Kind of fell into higher education. This was not my route I wanted to take whatsoever. I was not a big people person growing up. I majored in film and communications. I do that on the side with media and photography. I do all that good stuff outside of my work here at Georgia State. I'm currently getting my master's in higher ed. Since I'm here, I need to take advantage of those opportunities to keep advancing my career in that field. I changed my major 3 times and I changed schools twice. So counting all of that time, I think it took me about 6 years to graduate college. So that's why I'm here, to share my expertise, to kind of help you all and give you guys some good advice so that you don't end up in that same situation trying to figure out your majors and what school you want to attend.
And I also do have an advisement background. We both come from the University Advisement Center, so I already knew Amber prior to she coming out here. So been over there for about 3 years too. I came in May. So if you didn't know that, you got questions about majors or anything like else, we're here to help. So you guys want to share?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
My name's Santiago, and I'm a first-year marketing major.
Okay. Awesome. I used to advise business.
Huh?
I used to advise business.
My name is Amina Wallace, and I'm a sophomore managerial science major.
Okay. That's good. Major.
So my name is Lee. I'm a senior chemistry major.
Okay. Awesome. We're introducing ourselves. You want to tell us about yourself?
Sure, why not? My name is Snati St. Cyr. I'm a senior exercise science major.
Awesome.
So basically, from here, we introduced ourselves. We just want to kind of talk about a couple of the signs. We got 12 different signs that you're in the wrong major. So we're gonna start with the first one. Signs you're in the wrong major. Your grades are terrible. Bad grades aren't necessarily a sign you're pursuing the wrong degree. Your GPA is dependent on a number of different factors: the difficulty of your major, your inherent skills as a student, the academic intensity of your college, your ability to multitask, and the list goes on. Nonetheless, if you're giving it your absolute all and your grades continue to fall, you've got to take a step backwards. There's nothing wrong with taking a step backwards, but the most important thing is we want to move forwards in this degree. So we don't want to have bad grades and our grades is constantly slipping, but we think we moving forward, but we really not. We really stand in the same spot. It's great to challenge yourself in college, but definitely consider the possibility that you're forcing yourself to do something that's simply just not a good thing to do. You know, if we see reflections in our grades, a lot of times, sometimes we might think, I know in the past, a lot of students, I'm totally honest with students when it comes to their degrees and the classes that they've taken. And a lot of times, sometimes you might think that the advisor is being mean just because they may suggest that you change your major due to they can see patterns in your grades. You know, that's a big sign. You know, that costs you money and time. You know, so how you feel about
I
that?
feel the same way. Particularly, I used to advise business, like I said, and you all probably know about Area F and meeting those requirements. I would meet with students who were taking 3 and 4 attempts of Area F classes, and at some point you have to ask yourself, okay, how is this benefiting me? Because this is not K through 12. You're paying for college. You're paying for it, whether or not you're taking out financial aid and you're going to pay for it on the back burner once you graduate, or if you're actually paying out of pocket each semester. So you have to ask yourself, like, if I'm not doing well in a major, is this the right fit? And can I really see myself doing this, you know, and struggling with this in a career? So I do agree.
Is anyone facing like bad grades and don't know how to move about? I mean, I know you're a freshman and you just started, but I know you ain't got no bad grades or anything like that. But is anybody else in here facing
Trying to find bad grade.
like bad grades, like not passing the class
Not meaning requirements like the major
I thought
requirements.
it was not even above.
No, because C's
No.
get degrees.
They do.
You know,
They do.
a lot of times.
Okay,
So.
wait. I mean, I only have like one bad grade. Does that count?
What's your
I
major?
have like a lot of lows, but one
What's your
bad-
major?
managerial science?
Is it in the business? Like the bad grades, are they mainly in business? Because you have to look at that too.
Well, no. Okay, I'll be getting the C's, but then I got like one bad grade that didn't pass class.
Got
But I'm
you.
retaking it now.
Got you. I
I
mean,
wanted to change my major,
right.
but the advisor I went to was like, "Don't do it." He was like, "Try it one more time."
I mean, honestly, and I mean, we know ourselves. We know if something's a good fit for us. I mean, I knew when I was changing my majors whether or not something was a good fit. But if you're finding that it's a trend in that certain major, then yeah, you probably do need, especially if you've already considered that. I mean, yeah, you can go to an advisor, education program specialist, whatever, financial aid, whatever. We're here to give you our best advice, but you know yourself, and if you've already considered it, then yeah, even if you don't do it, look into other majors.
So do you feel that you're in the right major?
But I don't know. I literally chose it because I just didn't want to go undecided. And businesses?
So you a freshman too?
No, I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore. Okay.
Now is the time, if you're gonna change it, to get serious about the decision, because you don't want to get into your junior year where you're in the program and you're like, okay,
That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared I'm not gonna make it in the program
right.
right now.
We probably need to talk more a little bit later about it. You probably need to come see one of us so we can look at everything. But I do think you need to look into other majors. You've already thought about it. You're kind of struggling. You have a fear that you're not going to get into the program. You don't want to be like reactive. You want to be proactive. You know what I'm saying?
Is it a math course?
No.
Oh,
Let's
it's
take
not.
this next
I mean, math
Okay.
is just practice. So if it's not
Yeah.
math, then that's another story.
All right, so the second way that you can kind of tell whether or not you're in the right major, you can't explain why you chose the major. So basically what we have is maybe you just kind of fell into your major. Sometimes that works for people, or sometimes that works out for people, sometimes it doesn't. That being said, if you really can't justify why you picked your field of study, it's possible that the passion is really not there. Does anybody feel like that?
I'm a senior.
Okay. What made you pick your major?
I just, the same reason as him.
Okay.
Like, instead of math teacher, it was my chemistry high school teacher.
Okay.
So that was just that.
Do you feel like
And then I
It
built
was
a
a
good
good decision?
foundation for it, so I
Right.
just continued with the coursework. I didn't really have passion. It was more like
right?
I was fundamentally built on it already. So I
Right.
just went with it.
Right. Do you
I-
see yourself working in that area?
I worked it in the area, and I was like, yeah, I do need a subfield to give me a direction change.
I feel like you can't explain why you chose your major. A lot of times, I know I'm just speaking off just from experience. A lot of times, students they know why they picked the major because their friend picked it, or somebody heavily influenced them on picking this major because it made a lot of money. In my eyes, with majors, you got to be passionate about it. Like a lot of students say they want to be doctors or they want to be lawyers. We look at the high, top paying jobs. But if you don't have the work ethic to go to put into that major, you don't need to be doing that major, you know, just out of all honesty, you know, like you need to take a step backwards and ask yourself, is this really what I want to do? You know, because I'm not going to put the time and the effort into it while I'm wasting the money, you know? So you need to know why you in this major. You know, you can't explain why you chose the major. You need to know why you chose the major because you're wasting time and money. Everything comes back to that in my eyes. The time and the money that you're putting into this.
Even if you can get the money back, you can't get the time back, you know? Like those 3 years or 2 years that you picked or that you spent studying something that you weren't sure about, didn't know why you picked it, or a parent told you to do it, you could have been fulfilling requirements for the other major. So that, I mean, I agree. Time and money is very important. Anybody else got it?
So my question is, how do you know if you have or don't have passion? Is it something like, statistically you can measure, or is just a feeling?
I mean, it's a lot. It's with this job. Like, I love my job. Every day I come here, I'm here. I want to be the first person here. Like, I look at that as passion. Like, when you start to see the little things, like, oh, I'm dragging my feet in the morning on getting up to go to this class. Oh, when I get out the class, I'm not studying for the materials. It's all type of things.
Teacher.
Yeah.
You can't pay
stand
attention.
your classmates.
Right. You don't
That's
pay
what it is.
attention in class. Yeah.
Those are things you want to pay attention to. Like, I know going through the education curriculum, I'm like, man, I'm not doing this. Math? Calculus? Oh my God. Like, when I started seeing all these classes that I had to take, no, it just turned my whole mind into something different. I want to do something different. I never would pick up on the science or anything like that because that it just didn't hold my interest, you know?
I can say from my experience, when I first went to college, I went for architectural and interior design. Because I love to draw, I love to sketch when I was in high school. Not really realizing that you also were, I was heavy into media and film and taking pictures and stuff. So that's really the direction I should have been going in initially. But, you know, my parents were like, well, if you're going to go into a creative field, you can make money in that field. But I hated geometry. Like, my first semester, I took geometry. I hated it. And didn't study for it. I skated out the class with a B because I had somebody that helped me in the class. But knowing how much geometry and math was actually incorporated into that major and it wasn't just design, I was like, yeah, I'm changing my major. So that's how I knew. I just was not enthused about a key class in the major.
And that goes with number 3. So moving on to number 3, you're not excited about the coursework. She wasn't excited about the coursework. No matter how much you love studying, I mean, from basically what they said, 17th century Europe or advanced neuroimmunology, the honeymoon will eventually end. You're bound to feel somewhat bored or overwhelmed with at least a few of your assignments. So, I mean, like, it's the norm to feel like that in some of these classes because some of these classes just not going to hold your interest. You know, the core classes you have to get through. Like, in my eyes, I feel like they shouldn't even let you come in college the first year picking a major. Everybody should be exploratory. You should be exploring every major or every class possible. So that's why you see those core classes like that. That core is designed for you to explore. A lot of students come in here and say, oh, I'm going to do this. But then when they get into taking those core classes sometimes open their mind to say, hey, I don't know if I actually want to do political science. I don't know if I want to be a lawyer. You know, because I took this class over here and this opened up my eyes to seeing, oh, I might like psychology. I might want to be a psychologist. I don't know. You know, that's what the core is designed for. And so many students come in and say, I hate this class, I hate that class, I hate. But you got to give yourself time to explore. You know, I know you went through high school and, you know, it was the way this designed this way in high school. But at the same time, here you got to give yourself a chance to really, your brain is still opening up. Like, I feel like coming in as a freshman, you don't know what you want at that point, you know? So it's just like you still exploring. So during those first 2 years, I feel like you should be taking your time in adjusting in these core classes, exploring in these core classes. Because business might not be for this student over here, you know? It might be designed for you to be a political science or public health. I don't know, but you got to give yourself time to explore some of these classes before you just say, oh, I'm picking this major. That's why I changed 3 times as well, you know? I didn't give myself time to explore. And I like the communications classes because it let me talk. I like to talk.
I agree with that. I feel like don't be afraid to be general studies and don't be afraid to tell, you know, people that you know who are coming in to college, hey, maybe you just need to be general studies right now. If you don't know what it is, I mean, you spent 18 years before you come to college with people telling you what you're supposed to do, when you can go to the bathroom, when you can do this, when you can do that. So to realistically think that you should have it all figured out at 18, 19 years old, That's nonsense. It takes time. I'm almost 30 and I still don't have it figured out. I still don't know where I see myself or what I really truly enjoy doing, what I could really be doing as a career and waking up and like, I love this. I have an idea, but I'm not all the way there yet, and that's okay. But if you're not enjoying that coursework and you're, like you said, you're dragging your feet when you wake up, yeah, that's a major sign.
Number 4 is your major is seriously stressing you out. I think a lot of these tie back into the same thing, you know. If you're not happy in that major, I mean, for some people, you might be in too deep, you know. You may get to you may be in junior level, second semester, spring semester, as far as class level. I mean, at that point, it's hard to change. What can you change to? Can I still graduate on time? You know, it's so many things that you really want to factor in on. If this major is stressing me out, college can be as stressful at times for a number of reasons, but feeling overwhelmed or upset isn't necessarily unusual. However, it's a red flag if you're dreading all of your classes. Now, you dragging your feet to get to these classes, it's definitely a red flag. You know, if the classes are stressing you out, I got to study this much. Then it goes to balance. You know, the balance of your schedule, like, you know good doggone well that you shouldn't be in 2 science classes in a math. There's no where's the balance there?
Right.
You know, you got to have some balance there. I can see 1 science and 1 math, but not 3 sciences or 2 sciences in a math where some majors just don't got no choice.
Right.
So they know what's coming with it. But some people just don't be aware of it. Like, oh, I'm not good in math, but I'm decent in science.
Right.
But where's the balance? You know, my schedule should be balanced. It should be 2 other classes in here that could, help me be able to level this out correctly. So be aware of that.
Right. I agree with that. And then going back to your history, like looking at high school, like what were you good in high school? What were you good at in high school? What subjects did you struggle with? What career fields interest you? Like looking at all that. I also like to ask students when I used to advise when they wanted to change their majors, they weren't sure what they wanted to change to. Like where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like if you could be doing something, going to work, doing something every day, what would be your idea of doing that, and what would make you happy going to work every day? I mean, you gotta look at all that stuff and make sure that whatever you're majoring in aligns with whatever vision you have for yourself. Because if it doesn't, I mean, you're wasting your time. You may have to go back to school and get another degree. You may have to go to grad school and specialize in another area, and that's a struggle sometimes, because if you didn't major in something in undergrad, trying to master it at the graduate level is more difficult, because graduate school, it moves and they expect you to already have a foundation of whatever it is you're studying. So yeah, that goes straight to point 5. You picked your major because you thought it would be easy, or we're moving into that area, I should say. I've seen a lot of students do this. I had a student that was a history major who wanted to change his major because he thought history was going to be easy. But he doesn't like to write. He doesn't like to research. That's what a history major does. You study, you research, you write. And if you're trying to go to graduate school, that's what you're going to do in graduate school. Study, research, and write. So for me, if those aren't your strong areas, you don't need to major in the social science. You don't need to major in history, because that is what the bulk of your work is. Likewise, if you think, oh, I'm going to major in sociology or something like that because that's going to be easy, but you don't like to read, that's not going to work. Can't look at majors from that standpoint. You really have to look at it as if I'm up for the challenge of whatever the coursework may entail.
I just feel like if you picked your major because you thought it was easy, at the end of the day, you won't really be I feel like you won't be compensated for what it is in the end. Like me personally, I switched to communications at the end of the day because it was easy. Yes, every student athlete at the school was majoring in communications or criminal justice. yeah, I picked it and I graduated within the 4 years. But when I got to the end of the road, I started asking myself, Roy, what are you going to do with a communications degree? Nothing. I can go work in Walmart as a manager, Kroger, somewhere like that. Or Enterprise. A lot of people was working for Enterprise, doing the management trainee program after I was done. I don't want to do that. That wasn't in my mindset. But I picked it because it was easy. Ain't nothing coming to you in life that's going to be easy. You got to work for everything that you want. So when you picking a major, don't do it because it's easy. Because at the end of the day, what's going to be easy is them giving you the little check that they giving you, the little money that they giving you. It's easy to give you that, but it's hard to give you that big paycheck because everybody worked for that. Everybody worked to get that doctor in front of their name, So don't pick this major just because it's easy. Pick this major because it's something that you love and that you're passionate about. That's the one thing that I can say I'll take away from my master's. I picked this degree, higher education, because I love it and I'm passionate about it. So at the end of the day, pick something that you're going to love and you're passionate about. We don't want to be wasting money and time. I'm still going to go back to money and time. At the end of the day, that's what this takes up the most of your time and the money. Number 6, you hate all the professors in the department. There are some professors that you just won't get along with. I mean, we all know that. Even though, personally, I had one who called me different variations of names every class, even though I constantly was raising my hand to participate and answer questions. But if you're not getting along with any of the professors in your field of study, that could be a sign too. That could be a sign that, hey, I'm forcing this. This job may not really be for me, or this career may not really be for me. Or maybe I might need to go to a different school. I don't know.
Right.
You maybe need to start evaluating a lot of different things,
Right.
that you coming into thinking about,
I agree with that, because sometimes it's not even the professor. Sometimes it's just like friendships or relationships or whatever. You could just be aggravated about the fact that you're doing something that you may not want to be doing, or you may not be passionate about. And you become so aggravated that everything bothers you. So even if professor, right,
that translates
right.
into how you treat others
Right.
and stuff like that.
Right.
Because if
Right.
you want, not to interrupt.
No.
once
Go
more
ahead.
what happened is,
Yeah.
One of the byproducts of that is you start making excuses about how you think the professors or other instructors are treating you.
Mm-hmm.
You start perceiving what
Mhm.
they say and what they do differently if you don't like the class or if you're not, passionate about the material.
Mhm.
So you start looking for reasons to fail or not do as good as you otherwise should.
Absolutely. He said it in a nutshell right there. Like that's pretty much what it is. Number 7, you picked your major because your parents told you to. Allowing your parents to control your college life could lead to a massive resentment down the road. Trust me, it can. In fairness, they probably have your interests in mind, and it's great to get their wisdom and insight. However, you can't let them make choices for you. If you find your parents trying to decide your major for you, try to set up boundaries in order to establish more adult relationship. I can't stress this enough. Like, when you go to college, you have to take ownership for it. Yes, your parents may help you financially. Yes, they may give you guidance. But you are here for you. They can't go to classes with you. They can't take the test. The degree is not going to have their name on it. It's going to have your name on it when you go to apply for jobs. After you get the degree, they're not interviewing your parents, they're interviewing you. Take ownership for it. Parents have best interests, but I've seen a lot of students get pushed, particularly as a business advisor, get pushed into majors like accounting or finance or actuarial science. And these students don't like math. They don't have they're not passionate about accounting. They don't have a foundation of accounting, but their parents told them to take these classes, and now they're struggling, and we have to have the let's change your major conversation. This is your life. This is your degree. Take ownership for it. Like I said, parents mean well, but they're not here with you every day. So.
Exactly. I know some of us are scared, maybe scared or unafraid, afraid to approach our parents about what it is that we're majoring in. I know some cultures are different when it comes to picking careers or what you plan to do with your future if they're paying for it. That I mean, like at some point you're gonna be going through the motions if you allowing somebody to control what it is that you do with your career. In the higher education world, we call them helicopter parents.
Right.
That's what we call these particular parents that hover over the student's educational career. So sometimes it's I don't know. I can't really speak on that as far as giving you too much advice because my parents pretty much let me pick what major it was that I wanted to pick. I probably wasn't going for it no way. I feel like if I'm putting the time and the effort into going to these classes and studying for these classes, you're not going to determine or tell me what I'm majoring in. I mean, like I said, different cultures are different when they invest in their time. But me personally, I invested a lot of this money myself into what it was that I wanted to do. So I was going to do it the way that I wanted to do. Me being first generation, so.
And I agree with that. I was first generation. My parents were on me about the majors, but it was kind of like they couldn't be on me too much because they weren't financially contributing to me going to college. I was contributing. I was taking out financial aid, student loans, whatever, working and all that to finance myself. It gets cloudy. I have found working in financial aid and advisement when students' parents are funding their education. When they're funding their education, they have a lot of expectations of you. They expect you to get this degree in this amount of time so that they can feel like they invested their money wisely. The best advice I can give you as a college student, as a young adult, and it's going to go against whatever your parents have said if you find yourself in this situation. Know your options as a young adult. Know your options in terms of financial aid, financing. Make preparations because you don't want to be, even with school, outside of school, I should say, you don't want to be in a position where anybody has the power to hold something over you dealing with finances. And that's just the best advice I give you. So just know your options and have a plan A, B, and C if you find yourself going against the grain and risking your parents cutting you off financially.
We're gonna stop at 10 because we getting close to the time, so we got 2 more. Number 8 is you picked your major because you thought it would be lucrative. Stop picking
what?
Lucrative.
Money.
Yeah. Stop picking majors because of the big bucks behind it. Like I said at the beginning, you got to put the work into getting the money first. A lot of people see these doctors want to make $250,000 a year, but got a $30,000 work ethic. Like you won't see $250.
Right.
So we got to think about the process that I'm going to being a doctor. I'm studying. How many hours I'm studying out of the day? I mean, if it's 24 hours in a day, please believe they getting 18 of them hours. You know what I mean?
Right.
18 you might have 8 that go into the classes, and the other 10 is going into studying. Like that's how bad it's gonna take for you to be a doctor or a lawyer. These big top paying jobs. Like the pay is on the back end. You doing all that you need to do right now to get the money on the back end because you probably won't see that money for 10, 15 years after you done graduated, with the doctor in front of your name. So some people just blessed to be in positions that have all of that money, Don't we be looking at it like, oh, he's a doctor, he driving a Bentley and all. No. I mean, they work to get that, At the end of the day, they work to get that. And like I said, might not see that till 45, 50 years old, With the money come on the back end. The end. The money come.
And just a good thought process. If you enjoy what you do and you're passionate about it, the money has no choice but to come to you because you're motivated to get out there every day and make it happen. So. Number 9. You want me to do it? Okay. You constantly need help. This is self-explanatory. If you always need help in your major and you can't master the concepts on your own, or at least have a understanding of the concepts, that is not your major. If you need tutoring for every class in the major, yes. When I was an advisor, I would be that one that would tell you you need to change your major.
I have a comment. What I've noticed throughout my college career is actually a lot of students, whether they change their major or not, actually not using all of the resources that the university offers.
Agreed.
Not just here, but just all the other college students I've met. Like, they have similar programs, maybe not TRiO SSS, but other like supplemental instructions, tutoring, both on and off campus. But a lot of students don't use those services at all, but they still struggle somehow. And that contributes to changing the majors multiple times.
That's agreed. That is agreed.
Number 10, you're more interested in your friends' studies. When you talk about classes with friends outside your major, you can't help but feel envy. Obviously, individuals in more intensive majors are always going to be a bit jealous of those with chiller schedules. Still, those pangs should disappear pretty quickly if you're certain about your choice. You're probably in the wrong major if you feel your friends' professors, classes, and projects sound indefinitely better than yours. If that's the case, maybe it's time to switch. I used to look at my friends, the ones that was in these top big majors, and I'm like, yo, you taking that? Like, I know, and then I see what they doing. I see the work that they putting in, the work ethic. Like, they ain't playing with me, cause I'm playing, yo. Like, the classes that I'm taking, yeah, like you said, it's chill. They pretty chill. But when I see them on the campus, oh, they gone. Oh, what's up, Roy? They go into their same room. They got the same habits. They do the same thing every day. And when I seen that, I was like, they ain't got time to be playing with me. They pre-med or they pre-law. You know, like when I started seeing that they had the same habits, I'm like, yo, you might be doing something wrong, Roy. You ain't studying at the same time that they studying. The blueprint has been created. We just fail to not look at it. Meaning, we talk about how good Michael Jordan was. Like, I gotta use Michael Jordan because everybody go back to talking about Michael Jordan. We talk about Michael Jordan and how he's the greatest player to play basketball of all time. That's what they say. Well, the blueprint has been created already. We look at how hard it took for him to get into that position. It's the same way with becoming a doctor. All these people that we look at as high caliber individuals in the United States that got to where they at right now or worked hard, like Dr. Martin Luther King, we celebrated him yesterday. He worked hard to get where his name was. He didn't stop, you know. That's the type of attitude it's going to take. You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't feel this way about my classes. I should be excited that I'm putting all of this money into this and investing all of this time into what it is that I want to do. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, I see him grinding. My grind going to look different, but my grind is just as hard as this person that's over here. You know what I mean? And they see it. I seen what my friends was doing, and I didn't look at their majors as harder than mine. It was the work we put. Is we putting the same work into it? Because I was working just as hard as them. You know, going from what I was doing, I was going to class. You know? But I just didn't want to be no doctor. But I put that work in. So put that work in. Alright? Anybody got anything to follow up with? Any advice that you would want to give one another? Y'all think y'all in the right majors? Well, I hope we in the right majors.
Right. Right.
That's really all we have, you know, for today. You know, we'll see y'all again on the 4th in February. I think it's February the 5th. If you would be so kind to fill out that survey. We still got coffee and donuts back there. And y'all enjoy y'all rest of the day. And go Panthers.